Have you noticed that your desire to be close to your partner comes around less often? Or maybe it's disappeared without warning? This is nothing to be ashamed of, and it's certainly not the end of the road. As we age, the body changes. Hormones slow down, but that doesn't mean passion has to disappear forever. There are simple, safe, and completely natural ways to bring back your interest in intimacy and your confidence. Today, I'll share 5 of those methods. No pills, no pressure, just real human solutions. Let's start with something surprisingly simple and surprisingly powerful: zinc. Most people don't think about minerals until something goes wrong. But zinc plays a key role in testosterone production, immune function, and even mood. As men age, the natural level of zinc in the body tends to decline, not just because of diet, but also because of how our bodies absorb nutrients differently over time. And when zinc gets low, the effect can show up quietly at first. A drop in energy, a lack of motivation, or very often a noticeable decrease in libido. That feeling of just not being interested anymore, it's not all in your head. It can be something as basic as your body running low on one of the tools it needs to function well. The good news? It's one of the easiest things to fix, naturally and gently. I remember working with a retired electrician named George from Indiana, 67, married for over 40 years. He came to me not with complaints about desire, but about general sluggishness. His wife had noticed it first. How he know? Longer seemed to initiate anything romantic, and how he'd shrug off their usual weekly date nights. George chalked it up to age and recovering from knee surgery, which had left him a bit sedentary. But something didn't sit right with me. We ran some basic labs, and the first flag that popped up was his zinc, well below optimal range. I explained to him how essential zinc is, not just for immunity, but for helping his body naturally maintain healthy testosterone levels, which fuel more than just drive. They influence motivation, energy, and mood. We made a few simple dietary tweaks, adding pumpkin seeds to his oatmeal, throwing some cashews in with lunch, and eating shellfish, especially oysters, once a week. I also had him try a gentle zinc supplement every other day, just to bridge the gap while his diet caught up. Within about 6 weeks, his energy picked up, and more importantly, he said something I won't forget. I caught myself flirting with my wife again, and I didn't even realize it. It wasn't magic, it was just the body getting what it needed. And George's story isn't unique. I've seen the same turnaround in men from all over. Larry, 72, from New Jersey, whose only complaint was not feeling like himself, or Mike, 69, from Arizona, who was convinced he had depression, but turned out to be missing key nutrients. Zinc, in all of their cases, was one of the lowest hanging fruits, and one of the most overlooked. What often helps in these situations, and it's something I suggest often, is making sure you get zinc from both food and, when necessary, light supplementation. You don't need to overhaul your kitchen or start taking handfuls of pills. A handful of pumpkin seeds a day or a small serving of lentils, chickpeas, or seafood can go a long way. Some men find that using a basic zinc supplement, something under 25 milligrams a few times a week, works as a gentle support, but always check with your doctor first, especially if you're taking medications or have kidney concerns. The goal isn't to flood your system, it's to support it calmly and consistently. Small steps, predictable results. I like to say, sometimes strength doesn't come from pushing harder, it comes from feeding what's already there. Your body is still working for you, even if it's quieter than it used to be. And you don't have to accept low energy or low desire as your new normal. Even something as humble as zinc can be a step toward rediscovering how it feels to feel like you again. You're not broken. You may just be undernourished in one small way that makes a big difference. So be kind to your body and give it the chance to show you what it can still do. Here's something I've seen work wonders over the years, even though it sounds almost too simple. Just take a short walk after dinner. I know it might not sound exciting or groundbreaking, but the truth is that the way your body moves, or doesn't move, after a meal has a direct impact on your circulation, digestion, energy levels, and even your libido. As we get older, blood flow naturally becomes a bit less efficient, especially to the lower part of the body. And since healthy circulation is one of the key factors behind maintaining sexual function, anything that limits that flow, like sitting in a recliner, right after dinner, can quietly chip away at your confidence, your energy, and your interest in physical closeness. You might not notice it right away. You just feel slower, more tired, or maybe even emotionally distant without knowing why. But this tiny change, 15 to 20 minutes of gentle walking, has the power to restart things that felt lost. I had a patient named Walter, 72, from Columbus, Ohio, who came in with a complaint that I hear more often than you might think. He wasn't feeling bad, just a little flat. His words were, "I'm not really tired, but I also don't want to do much of anything." He'd had some back pain a year earlier that made him more cautious about movement, so after dinner, he got into the habit of settling into his recliner and watching TV until bed. His wife, Donna, joked during our visit that he now had a switch. Dinner would go in and his brain would shut off. I laughed with them, but I also knew it wasn't just habit. His circulation was likely slowing down after meals and staying low throughout the evening. We talked about what might happen if they simply got outside after dinner. Nothing intense, just a neighborhood walk or a few laps around the block. 2 weeks later, they came back and told me it had become their new ritual. Walter said something had shifted, not just in his energy, but in his mood. He found himself sleeping better, feeling more connected to his body, and even rediscovering those moments of quiet affection he hadn't felt in a while. "It's like my head and body are talking again," he told me. Another man, Leonard, 68, from Denver, had a similar experience. Walking after dinner helped ease his bloating, improved his sleep, and gradually sparked interest in physical closeness again. Neither of them started with the goal of boosting their libido, but their bodies responded anyway. One of the easiest ways to help your body feel more alive again, especially in the evening, is to take a slow, mindful walk after dinner. You don't need a gym membership or expensive gear, just comfortable shoes and a jacket if it's cool outside. Set a timer for 15 minutes and walk at your own pace. It's not a race. If it's raining, you can even walk around the house. The key is not the distance or speed, it's the act of moving your body gently to support blood flow, digestion, and connection to your breath. I always tell my older patients, you're not doing it to burn calories, you're doing it to wake yourself back up. And if this sounds too small to matter, let me leave you with this. Sometimes what we miss most in life is not youth or strength, but the feeling of being in motion, of moving towards something. You don't need to climb mountains to feel alive. Sometimes a quiet walk after dinner is enough to remind your body that you're still here, still moving, still worthy of closeness and warmth, one step at a time. That's all it takes. Here's a change that seems small, but can quietly unlock a lot more energy and confidence. Cut out sugary snacks in the evening. Now I get it. That little something sweet after dinner feels like comfort. For many men I talk to, it's not even about the sugar itself. It's the routine. A scoop of ice cream while watching the news, a cookie before bed, a bit of chocolate just to unwind. But what I often explain is that sugar in the evening can quietly throw off some of the most important systems that help you feel like yourself. Your sleep, your hormones, and even your motivation the next day. When you eat sugar late, it sends your blood sugar on a roller coaster, and that affects your body's ability to produce testosterone overnight. You may fall asleep faster because of the sugar crash, but you're more likely to wake up in the middle of the night, feel restless in the morning, and go through the day a little foggy and flat. And over time, that fog becomes the new normal, and the first thing to disappear is interest in closeness, in touch, in connection. Remember working with a gentleman named Henry, 64, from Raleigh, North Carolina. He came in because he said, "I don't feel depressed exactly, just kind of blank." He had retired recently, was still active during the day, and had no major health issues, but evenings were his quiet zone. He would finish dinner, sit in his recliner, and end the day with a big bowl of ice cream, usually with some fruit or syrup on top. At first, he didn't think this had anything to do with his energy or mood, but when I asked about his sleep, he said it was choppy. When I asked about his mornings, he said he woke up feeling hollow, not sad, just unmotivated. I explained how sugar affects not just insulin, but also the delicate balance of nighttime hormones that help with recovery and libido, especially testosterone. I asked him to do a little experiment, swap the ice cream for a protein-rich snack like apple slices with almond butter or a small bowl of plain yogurt with cinnamon. He was hesitant at first, but within 2 weeks he started sleeping deeper. Within a month, he told me he woke up with curiosity again. His words, not mine. He even started planning weekend trips with his wife again, something they hadn't done in years. And it wasn't because of a diet. It was because he stopped sending his body mixed signals right before sleep. I've seen the same thing with men like Joel, 68, from Phoenix, who replaced soda and late-night snacks with warm herbal tea and found that his night sweats and morning fatigue began to ease up. It's not a magic fix, but it's a powerful pattern breaker. What often helps is setting a new rhythm for the evening. After dinner, keep water nearby, and if you need a bite, go for something with protein and fiber, like Greek yogurt with a sprinkle of cinnamon or a boiled egg with a few whole grain crackers. Try to make the kitchen closed by 8 p.m. and give your body a clean slate to recover overnight. It's not about being strict. It's about giving your hormones the environment they need to work with you, not against you. I like to tell my patients, strength isn't about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to what helps. Choosing not to eat sugar at night isn't punishment. It's a form of respect toward the man you still are. Even small adjustments send your body the message you still care and you still expect good things ahead. That message matters, and your body listens. Another piece that often gets overlooked, but makes a world of difference, is your sleep schedule. Most men I talk to in their 60s and 70s tell me they still think of sleep as just rest, something passive. But I always remind them, sleep is active repair. It's when your body balances hormones, recharges your nervous system, and prepares you to feel awake mentally and physically the next day. As we age, our sleep becomes lighter and more fragile. That means bad habits like staying up too late, napping irregularly, watching TV until midnight, or drinking coffee too late in the day can hit a lot harder than they used to. And when your sleep is off, one of the first things to suffer is your sense of vitality. Your energy dips, your focus fades, and yes, your libido slows down. Testosterone is mainly replenished during deep sleep. If you're not getting enough of it, your body simply doesn't have the chance to recover. And no supplement can fix that if the rest is missing. A story that stayed with me came from Charles, a 70-year-old widower from Minnesota, who came to see me after a few months of just feeling off. His wife had gone out of town for a few weeks to help their daughter after surgery, and in her absence, his schedule unraveled. He stayed up late with the television on, watched the news until past midnight, drank coffee in the afternoon just to push through the sluggishness, and by the time he got into bed, he was too wired to fall asleep quickly. He told me he didn't feel tired. He felt disconnected. He didn't look forward to mornings. He wasn't interested in touch or even conversation. It felt like a fog. So I asked him to try something simple. Get back to a consistent sleep schedule. We set a goal, lights off by 10:30 p.m., no caffeine after lunch, no screens or loud media for at least an hour before bed. I recommended he drink chamomile or lemon balm tea around 9:30, listen to calming music or read a book, and dim the lights early, so his brain got the message that it was time to slow down. Within 2 weeks, Charles returned with a softness in his voice I hadn't heard before. "It's like I woke up again," he said. "I'm not bouncing off the walls, but I'm back." He started feeling interested again, in conversation, in small touches, in life. It wasn't dramatic, it was steady. And it started with something as basic as sleep. I've seen this in other men too, like David, 68, from Vermont, who began setting a 9:45 bedtime alarm, just like he used to for work. He said it brought him a sense of structure and purpose again, and from that came confidence. What often helps is simply giving your body a clear message. It's time to rest. One of the most reliable steps I recommend is setting a wind-down routine that starts an hour before bed. That means turning off the TV, silencing the phone, lowering the lights, and choosing something quiet, like light reading or music, to help ease into sleep. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. and heavy meals late in the evening. Stick to the same bedtime and wake-up time each day, even weekends, to retrain your natural rhythm. Sleep isn't just about hours, it's about quality, and that starts before your head hits the pillow. I often say, intimacy doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in the mind, and the mind can only function well when it's rested. You're not lazy for needing better sleep. You're wise for giving it priority. You don't have to push harder to feel better. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is turn the lights down, breathe, and allow yourself the rest you deserve. That's not giving up. That's showing up for your own life. And here's something that's often harder than it sounds, but can change everything. Speak honestly with your partner, even if it feels uncomfortable. In many of the conversations I have with older men, there's a common pattern. When intimacy starts to fade or becomes awkward, many men assume it's just part of aging, or worse, that their partner no longer cares. That belief becomes a wall, and instead of talking about it, they pull back. But silence doesn't fix distance. It deepens it. The truth is, emotional connection is often the key that unlocks physical closeness, especially later in life. When you're holding in shame, frustration, or self-doubt, your body hears that, and your relationship does too. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to let your partner know that you want to feel close again. That honesty, even if it feels raw, can open a door that's been quietly locked for years. I remember Frank, 68, from Spokane, Washington. Quiet man who came to see me because he felt numb, not physically, but emotionally. His wife, Sarah, had mentioned during a regular checkup that she felt distant from him. They'd been married for 40 years, and according to Frank, things had just slowed down. He assumed she had lost interest, so he kept everything to himself. His worries, his low energy, even his sense that he didn't feel like a man anymore. When I asked if he'd ever told her that, he looked surprised, almost offended by the idea. That's not something I say, he told me. But over the next few weeks, we talked about what might happen if he did. Nothing dramatic, just a short moment of honesty. I encouraged him to say something like, "I know I've been quiet, but it's not because I don't care. I've just been feeling unsure, and I want to reconnect." When he finally spoke to her, he told me she cried not out of anger, but because she'd been waiting for him to say something, anything. That one conversation didn't fix everything overnight, but it broke the silence. And from there, they started spending more time together, walking, holding hands, even sitting down at the table, instead of eating in front of the TV. Frank said something that stuck with me. I didn't need a pill. I needed to stop pretending I was fine. Another client, Marvin, 72, from Tampa, had a similar breakthrough after years of feeling invisible at home. His quiet moment of truth brought laughter back into their evenings. Again, not magic, just connection. What often helps is choosing the right moment, somewhere quiet, not rushed, maybe even on a walk or during a calm evening. Start small. You don't need to confess everything or solve the world in one talk. A simple sentence like, "I miss feeling close to you," can be the most powerful thing you say all year. Don't wait for the perfect mood. Create it with your honesty. You're not weak for needing connection. You're human. And here's something I always tell the men I work with. Intimacy isn't about performance. It's about presence. You don't need to be the man you were at 30 to be loved and wanted at 70. You just need to be real. When you open that door, even a little, you remind your partner and yourself that you're still here, still feeling, still worth being seen. And sometimes that's all it takes to begin again. If even one of these tips resonated with you, that means you're already on the right path. Let us know in the comments which one felt most helpful and what you're ready to try. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Here, we talk about things that matter but rarely get said out loud.